Pop quiz. Which of these 5 options do you think could be removed from the Majin Buu saga without affecting its ending at all? The correct answer is all of them. Let's fix that. You know, Dragon Ball Super still gets a lot of flack these days for being poorly written, totally inconsistent, and just all of these. But I still think it's easier to watch than the Buu Saga. And as some of you might know, I wrote a video a while back breaking down the problems that I had with that very saga. In it, I tried to communicate why I thought the saga itself was not good, using as many film examples and literary sources as I could find in order to help bolster my point of view. And honestly, I didn't expect to see so many people agreeing with me. So, seeing as I've outlined plenty of fundamental problems with the Majin Buu saga already, let's go one step further and rewrite the entire thing. I'm always criticizing and analyzing how stories are written, so this should be a fun exercise. That said, I do have 3 rules I want to abide by first. Rule number 1. I can't invent or introduce characters that were not in the Buu saga. This means no movie characters and nothing from Dragon Ball Super like Beerus or Whis. Rule number 2. I must finish the arc story in the very same place that ended in the original, meaning Goku, Vegeta, and everyone celebrating at the lookout after all the events have concluded. And finally, rule number 3. Gohan needs to be the main character. This is gonna be difficult. Alright, so essentially the purpose of this rewrite is twofold. Firstly, I want to remove the padding of the story, allowing for better use of its characters and mechanics while keeping the story focused and not as long as it currently is. Secondly, and finally, I want to give Gohan a good story. It's not gonna crescendo like it did in the Cell arc, but I want to give him an emotional journey that has a payoff. In other words, I want him to be the main character of this arc, and boy, do I have my work cut out for me. Let's begin. One of my biggest issues with this section of the manga came in its beginning. Reintroducing Gohan as a young man is great and all, but the plot that follows is so unbelievably uneventful and entirely unnecessary for the story, it hurts. These characters don't matter, and the secret identity of Gohan never really plays into how the story unfolds in a meaningful way. The same goes for Gohan's adventures saving the city and his school life in general. The only thing of value that came out of this entire section that lasted was Videl, and even she didn't play a large role in the plot overall. So what am I going to do about this? Instead of skipping over the 7 years that have passed in an instant since the Cell games, I'd like to show, over the course of a minute or two, Gohan's life growing up without Goku around. To show Chi-Chi working hard to raise him, Goten's birth, showing how they as a family miss him, and most importantly, to show Gohan shouldering more and more responsibility as he gets older, becoming the Earth's protector. I want to show him nervously moving into public school, finally meeting and befriending Videl. Similar to how Up's opening sequence communicated the emotional journey Carl and Ellie underwent, I'd like to show the story of Gohan trying to fill the shoes Goku left as the Earth's defender, finally meeting a new friend in Videl, helping teach her to fly, and for her to become one of the only people in his life that can help ground him. The opening sequence comes to an end as we fade into the present day. Goten is waking up in his room a single day before the 25th Tenkaichi Budokai. Outside his bedroom window, Goten hears the sounds of fighting. Shooting up from his bed, with a smile on his face, he runs over to his calendar, marking it with an X. Only one more day, Goten says. Excited, he looks outside. Gohan is training with his eyes shut. It's at this moment we cut to Gohan's point of view. We fall right into the middle of a fight between Cell and Gohan. He's reliving that very fight 7 years ago, beat for beat. To finish the fight, Gohan tightens his fist and launches towards Cell. Inches before he makes contact, everything goes black, and we hear the words, followed by a scream. The camera switches to Goten's view as he runs from the bedroom to the front door and outside, only to find Gohan on the floor, trembling. As he runs over to check on his brother, Gohan explodes onto his feet, erupting into Super Saiyan 2. Electricity shooting everywhere with his hand millimeters from his brother's face. Scared and shocked, Goten falls to the ground. Gohan quickly calms down and comes to his senses. Lately, Gohan has been suffering from a series of increasingly intense panic attacks. A very human problem. Goten asks if he still wants to train. Gohan enthusiastically says, absolutely. He takes a few minutes explaining the image training technique, and on his first try, Goten picks it up like that, remarkably quick. Quicker than Gohan ever had. As the two begin sparring, Gohan is again taken aback by how quick Goten has improved over the last number of months. Goten, you've gotten amazing! What have you been doing while I was away? Well, I watch you whenever you train and I just do that. The two brothers share a laugh and continue fighting into the night before being called in by Chi-Chi. After all, they have a big day tomorrow. As the two walk into the house, Goten asks reservedly to Gohan, what if I don't know what to say? Gohan looks down perplexed. What if you don't know what to say to who? To Dad. What should I say? Gohan smiles and gets down on one knee next to Goten and gives him a hug. Listen, Goten, you don't have anything to worry about. Mom and I will be right there. And I'm certain Dad will be really excited to finally meet you. Besides, you two have a lot in common. We do? Sure you do. And if you get nervous, just ask him if he's been training. He'll want to teach you a few things, I bet. Goten's face lights up. You mean it? Of course I do. Alive or dead, Dad lives for that kind of stuff. With an excited dash, Goten zips into his room. Gohan and Chi-Chi share a smile as the scene cuts to the gravity chamber with Vegeta. This is where we will introduce Trunks and reintroduce Vegeta. I love the scene where the two spar together, and I want to keep it with one major change. Since the Cell games, Vegeta has been intensely affected by the death of Goku. Interlaced with his training in the chamber, I want to splice in flashback images of his return from the games, Bulma trying to support him, and how Trunks saw all of this unfold as he grew up. We then cut to Trunks' point of view as he works up the courage to talk to his father. Since the news broke that Goku will be returning for the tournament, he's been much more approachable. The scene plays out much like it does in the original. Vegeta and Trunks make a bet. If he can hit him, then he will take him to the park. The major difference that I was talking about is that Trunks cannot turn Super Saiyan. In fact, neither Goten nor Trunks have ever turned Super Saiyan. Because of this, Trunks fails to land that one shot, but does come very close on one occasion. With that, the scene shifts. It's tournament day. From this point, I want the beginning of the tournament day to remain somewhat similar to the original. The first interaction between Goku and Goten is adorable and incredibly endearing. I would just extend it slightly. As Goten is in his father's arms, he says, "Gohan said that you did a lot of training while you were away. Did you learn anything amazing?" Gohan winks at Goten with a thumbs up as Goku, excited, starts showing Goten some stuff that he picked up. While this is happening, we are reintroduced to the old gang. From here, a lot remains the same again. Vegeta and Goku draw each other in the standings, Goten and Trunks fight in the finals of the junior tournament and embarrass Mr. Satan in the process. However, there is again no Super Saiyan transformations from either competitor. In the original story, Piccolo gave up against the Supreme Kai and Gohan had his energy stolen. In my version, Piccolo won't fight against Shin, he will instead be the one to get his energy stolen. As Gohan looks on, his breathing starts to get erratic once again. Goku notices and says, "Take it easy, Gohan." As Piccolo struggles for life, Gohan is greeted by a flashback of Piccolo dying in defense of him. Suddenly, his hair begins to flicker and glow. Goku shouts, "Not yet, Gohan!" As the aura from Piccolo begins to fade, he hears that voice once again. In an instant, Gohan explodes into Super Saiyan with the electricity cutting through the walls of the arena. He lunges toward Piccolo, but something's wrong. His arms are numb and his heart is racing. Before he reaches Piccolo, Spopovich and Yamu take advantage of the situation, stealing both Gohan and Piccolo's energy, leaving them both drained and unconscious before flying off. As Gohan comes to, he's covered in a cold sweat, with Videl gently holding his hand. "You were talking in your sleep. What's going on?" Something's not right. Gohan jumps to his feet. "Where's Piccolo? What happened?" "I think a better question is, what happened to you?" "Huh? I taught you better than that. It looked like you were tripping over your own shadow." Gohan looks over to Piccolo, confused and silent. Videl explains the situation, that Piccolo had voluntarily given his energy in order to aid the Supreme Kai, that everyone has already left to follow Spopovich and Yamu, and that he lost control. Piccolo finishes the conversation by saying, "You're in no fit state to fight. Maybe you should sit this one out." As he flies off, Piccolo remarks to himself, "Come on, Gohan. We're counting on you." Gohan readies himself to follow Piccolo. Videl stands in front of him. "Where do you think you're going? I just told you what happened. What if you don't come back?" "I always come back!" "I always come back." With that, Gohan launches into the sky after Piccolo. As Gohan flies towards the group, he notices Piccolo's energy suddenly disappear. When he touches down, he arrives just in time to follow Goku and Vegeta into Babidi's ship. "Where's Piccolo?" Gohan asks. Vegeta grunts and Goku remains silent. "You shouldn't have come here, Gohan. But now that you are, I need you to follow my lead. Do you hear me?" The rest proceeds pretty much as normal with one major change. Gohan wants to fight the ship's warriors, but Goku insists that he stay on the sidelines. Vegeta fights Pui Pui, Goku fights Yakan, and instead of Gohan fighting Dabura, this is where Majin Vegeta is born. Immediately, they are transported to the tournament grounds, where we witness Vegeta's ruthlessness firsthand. Trunks looks on in disbelief. With a smirk on his face, Vegeta raises his arm once again, this time pointing to the other side of the arena. As he begins to charge the blast, something snaps in Trunks, causing him to dash towards his father. Vegeta sees him coming, however. Time slows down as we see Vegeta take aim at Trunks. Mere feet before the two make contact, a surge of golden energy explodes in a blinding flash of light around Trunks. When the smoke clears, Trunks is revealed to have turned Super Saiyan. Vegeta, now knocked back one single step, begins to bleed from his mouth. Vegeta is in shock, immediately lashing back, knocking the boy out cold. With a conflicted expression painted right across his face, he wipes the blood from his mouth, spits on the ground and shouts, "Kakarot! What do you say now? You got it! Just take us back to the ship, Bobbity!" Once away from civilization, Goku is forced to explain the situation to Gohan. He explains that Dabura turned Piccolo to stone, and that he is now responsible for bringing Piccolo back to life through defeating Dabura. With that, Goku leads Vegeta to the wastelands where it all began. Now, the Goku-Vegeta fight I will not touch. It's a masterpiece and needs to happen. However, the fight between Gohan and Dabura, I'm gonna change drastically. Instead of Gohan struggling against this enemy, now that he has a singular, clear goal in mind, despite him not being 100%, he will obliterate Dabura. From the fight's beginning to its conclusion, Dabura will go from intimidating and confident to overwhelmed and terrified by Gohan. As the fight nears its end, we see that Goten and Trunks are on their way to the action. As Dabura lays beaten to a pulp, he begins apologizing to Bobbity for not getting the energy needed to awaken Majin Buu. Bobbity smiles.
This new one is most impressive.
We cut to Vegeta's fight with Goku as he is overwhelming the Saiyan. Massive flashes of light envelop the horizon. Goku is in trouble. Goten and Trunks see this and recognize it's their father's energies. Gohan notices the light show on the horizon also, and as Dabura struggles back to his feet, Gohan powers up to full. Slowly raising his hand out in front of him, Dabura begins to speak, but is immediately cut off as he is erased from the face of the earth. But Gohan didn't fire. He's confused. As he lifts his head, he sees the pink monstrosity. Majin Buu has been released, and Gohan can sense his father's energy plummeting. Goku knows that he doesn't have much time. The more energy he puts out, the less time he has in the living world. But he has a plan. Abruptly, Goku begins racing at top speed towards Kami's lookout. Perhaps there, Vegeta will agree to continue this fight in the chamber. Perhaps inside there, his time in the living world will be extended. Sensing his father's losing effort, Gohan at top speed rockets to his father's rescue, flying away from Majin Buu. However, it's no use. Buu appears in front of the young Saiyan, and with a single punch, sends Gohan crashing to the ground below. Struggling back to his feet, Gohan fires an enormous blast through Majin Buu, before flying again in the direction of his father. By the time Vegeta and Goku have reached the lookout, so too the fight has reached its conclusion the same way it did in the original. Goku appealed to Vegeta's humanity before being knocked out by the Saiyan Prince. As Vegeta prepares to fight Majin Buu, Gohan arrives at the lookout to see his father lying motionless on the floor. What did you do? At that moment, a blast hits Gohan's back, knocking him to the floor in a daze. As Gohan lies there semi-conscious, Vegeta begins his battle with Majin Buu. The battle proceeds precisely like it did in the original, only this time it takes place at the lookout. And much the same as the original, Goten and Trunks arrive on the scene. However, unlike the original, Goku regains consciousness, aiding Vegeta in his effort against Majin Buu. And despite their combined efforts, in their weakened state, they are still no match for him. As Gohan lies there with his eyes shut, drifting in and out of consciousness, he hears snippets of a conversation between Goku and Vegeta. 45-degree stance. Mirror images of one another. Index fingers converge, 30 minutes. Majin Buu, however, is too great for the two Saiyans, immediately knocking Goku to the floor in a bloody heap. As Gohan regains his composure, barely conscious and very injured, he sees his father bloodied and beaten by Vegeta, who is standing over him. Gohan, confused and distressed, says to himself, "Not again." Without warning, he sends a blast straight through Vegeta's sternum. As the Saiyan Prince falls to the floor, Goten and Trunks dash to his side to try to help. It's at this time Goku picks himself up off the floor. "Gohan, what did you do?" Confused and disorientated, Gohan looks to his father when he's struck by a massive blast from Majin Buu. Gohan is unconscious, barely clinging to life. Seeing this, Goku begins to power up with all the strength that he has left, when suddenly, he vanishes back to Otherworld. This catches Majin Buu off guard, and as he looks for where Goku went, he sees Goten and Trunks dragging Gohan into the Room of Spirit and Time, closing the door. In seeing this, Majin Buu begins to charge towards the room, when suddenly, boom! An energy blast beats him to it, destroying the doorway altogether. No one can get in, and no one can get out. Buu begins to turn his head slowly. There, at the edge of the lookout, Vegeta lays on the floor, smirking. Good job, boys. Barely making it to his feet, Vegeta begins to taunt Buu. "What's the matter? You didn't think a simple blast like that would be enough to stop me? Come on, give me a challenge!" With that, Vegeta begins to fall from the edge of the lookout, pursued by an incensed Majin Buu. And in a blinding flash of light, Vegeta sacrifices himself and says goodbye to his loved ones. The last shot we see, he confused Goten and Trunks standing inside the Room of Spirit and Time with an unconscious badly injured Gohan as the door of the room begins to fade away. I hate to leave things on a cliffhanger, but there was way too much to cover in a single video, and this seemed like a perfect place to end it. Don't forget to rate this video, leave a comment on where you think the story might go next, and part 2 will be out next week. See you then.